Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to another episode of the Mysticism Decoded podcast. I am your host, Aleph Lev. In this episode, we're going to be continuing on with the audiobook and analysis of the gateway process. We are up to section 28, the gateway method. I actually want to hit this section for you and the next section as well, Hemi-Sync introduced. And afterwards, I'm going to be saving this next section, advanced techniques, for another video or another couple of videos. And we are getting ever closer to the most important part of the entire document. Well, it's hard to say the most important part. There's so many parts that are equally important. But to my book, this is among the most important parts, patterning. So we are getting crucially close. And now let's just dive right into it. Section 28, the gateway method. Having put the gateway experience in context by postulating a structural outline of how and why it seems to work, and having shown what it is designed to achieve, the time has come to examine the specific techniques which comprise the gateway training process. These techniques are designed to enable the user of the gateway tapes to manipulate the high energy states, which can be achieved if the user continues to work with the tapes over a period of time. The amount of time required to reach advanced energy states and to fully exploit the technique varies with the individual. The sensitivity of his nervous system, his general state of mind, and the extent to which he may have previously developed facility in related techniques, such as transcendental meditation, are all pertinent factors affecting the speed at which he may expect to progress. The gateway process begins by teaching the individual participant to isolate extraneous concerns in a visualization device called an energy box. Next, the participant is introduced to a method of encouraging his mind and body to strive to achieve a state of resonance through utterance of a single tone, a monotonous, protracted humming sound that sets up a feeling of vibration, particularly in the head. Of course, this is the sound Om, where if you've done any meditation, you know that this is ubiquitously used as well. Om is also a measurement of energy, not a coincidence, not an accident. It actually has an esoteric origin to it. He engages in this resonant tuning, as it is called, by humming along with a chorus of such sounds that are contained on the gateway tape. Following this, the participant is exposed to the gateway affirmation and is encouraged to repeat it to himself as he hears it repeated on the tape. This affirmation is a statement to the effect that the individual realizes that he is more than merely a physical body and that he deeply desires to expand his consciousness. So this section, it's just a bit of an intro where it talks about one of the ways to isolate your thoughts and to quiet your mind is to put all these extraneous concerns into something that you visualize and imagine called an energy conversion box. So all your problems, all the nonsense you're dealing with in your life, everything that's bothering you, imagine that you could just take that and put it in this box over here, this box that you just think of and visualize, and basically you just place it in there, and while it's in there, it's being stored, it's separate from you, and it's just a tool to help quiet the mind and help you relax. And the other aspect is that you're saying Om, you're getting yourself in a specific type of resonant tuning, and you're saying these affirmations, which, you know, the affirmations aren't written in stone. You could use different affirmations as well. but it is, again, just a tool to help you build the conviction that you need so you can have the deep focus that you need in order to separate spirit from body. Because although I have not done it yet, many people have that I've even randomly spoken to. And part of it is just having this 100% belief in knowing that your spirit is separate from your body, and then being able to use the different tools that we're going to get into in order to actually separate the spirit from body. And also, I want to point out that this document in general talks about separating spirit from body using the Kundalini process. However, it's also become apparent to me through research and speaking with other individuals, it is not 100% necessary to use Kundalini to separate spirit from body. It is one method, one very strong method to do so. But it is possible to separate spirit from body in other ways. I'll tell you a short story from someone that I spoke to that I thought that this was a really intelligent and novel way to do it. Because again, as we stated in previous sections, what you need to do to separate spirit from body is you need to put yourself in a delta state or a near delta state. So when we're falling asleep, we are going into that theta and delta state. So what this means is if you're skilled enough and if you've practiced enough, you will have a much, much easier time to go out of body if you're able to do things as you're falling asleep or as you're just waking up. Because we do actually, all of us, go out of our body every single night when we are in states of deep sleep, REM sleep. So I spoke to someone who was telling me how she goes out of body. And what she described to me is the following. She would practice what you can call meditation as soon as she wakes up. And at the same time as she's doing that, she also described to me that she was basically doing a physical motion. It's tough to describe it how she showed it to me, but imagine something like a little bit of a rocking crunch, where she is rocking her body back and forth and throwing her arms forward to basically eject the spirit from the body while she is in this near delta state. So basically she said to me that she has the most experience separating spirit from body in the mornings. As soon as she wakes up, she starts rocking back and forth, doing this motion that sort of looks like a crunch and throwing her arms out. And then the next thing she knows, she's out of body, she's in her astral, she's looking at her body in the bed, and her arms that she threw out in front of her are now basically limp on top of her face, on top of her body. And she separated spirit from body. And then she basically described to me walking around her room in an astral state up until the point that she re-entered her body. So this is a first-hand testimony. I give you my word as a man that I am not making this up. The individual's name, I'll give a shout out to Ebonique. Ebonique gave me some very good information, not just regarding this, but some other things as well. So Ebonique, if you randomly happen to ever see this video, because we didn't get our contact info to stay in touch, thank you for that technique and thank you for the other thing. And anyone else that's able to do this in the future as a result of hearing this video, you can give a special thanks to Ebonique as well. All right, let's get into the next section, 29, Hemi-Sync introduced. After that, he is exposed for the first time to the Hemi-Sync sound frequencies and is encouraged to focus and develop a perception of appreciation for those feelings which accompany the synchronization of brain waves that results. Next comes the technique of progressive and systemic physical relaxation, while the Hemi-Sync frequencies are expanded to include additional forms of pink and white noise designed to put the physical body at the virtual threshold of sleep, as well as to calm the left hemisphere of the mind while raising the right hemisphere to a state of heightened attentiveness. So again, we're looking to put the left analytical brain to sleep, and we're looking to raise up the heightened attentiveness of the right side of the brain. Once all of this is achieved, the participant is invited to envisage creation of an energy balloon comprised of an energy flow beginning at the center of the top of the head and extending down in all directions to the feet. So this is sort of the shape of the torus of the universe as well. You can also think of this as an aura-like shape. And they are referring to it as an energy balloon around your body. The energy involved in this flow then proceeds up through the body and back out into the balloon pattern again. The energy balloon, which sets up a pattern very reminiscent of the cosmic egg discussed earlier. Again, that is the torus, the shape of the universe. Not only enhances bodily energy flow and encourages early achievement of a suitable resonant state, but it is also designed to provide protection against conscious entities possessing lower energy levels, which the participant might encounter in the event that he achieves an out-of-body state. It serves a precautionary purpose in the unlikely event that the participant's first out-of-body experience involves direct projection outside the terrestrial sphere. So the other purpose for this energy balloon is also essentially a force field. You are creating an energy bubble around you to protect you from lower vibe energies, meaning energies that wish to do you harm, have negative intentions or malcontent ideas for you. And we know that this is something that's important because, as we discussed in prior sections, once you're able to escape Planck's distance, raise your vibrations past Planck's distance so that you can escape the first 4 dimensions of time-space, and now you are in these intervening dimensions, you are to expect to interact with other energies, aka consciousnesses, that inhabit those intervening dimensions, some of which are not benevolent and may wish to do you harm in some manner. And we don't really know exactly what that harm can mean, what can be done to you, but we know that we want to prevent it, and hence the document describes creating this energy balloon around you to prevent the negative energies from affecting you. Now, in one of my prior pods, I discussed the topic and concept of the words of angel versus angle, and the energies that exist in these other dimensions only being able to move at angles. And we know this from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, where he is describing his astral travels, and he describes a situation that is pertinent to this section. And just to recap that, what he talks about is being in these intervening dimensions, running into energies that wish him harm, and an escape back to his body, where he describes having to move in circular motion because these energies that were after him to do him harm were only able to move in angles. And the connection between angle and angel is if we are talking about an angel, the characteristics are not human, not from earth, a consciousness that is essentially not human or from earth. So angel meaning extraterrestrial, and these energies inhabiting other intervening dimensions are also by definition extraterrestrial because they are not human and they are not from earth. So an angel broken down translates to extraterrestrial, but so does a non-human intelligence that inhabits an intervening dimension that is extraterrestrial as well. So the words angel and the fact that these consciousnesses in the other dimensions can only move in angles seems to have a correlation. And in the future, I intend on analyzing the Emerald Tablets of Thoth in its own series so we can try to get down to the bottom of what exactly this passage means, that the energies are only able to move in angles. What harm might they have wanted to cause to the consciousness of Thoth? And for those who are not aware, Thoth is also directly associated with Hermes Trismegistus. That is the thrice-lived Hermes. And in esoteric lore, whenever you go down the rabbit hole long enough and you learn enough, you know that Hermes, Thoth, and also the Mesopotamian god Ning-Ishzida are all the same individual. And Ning-Ishzida, aka Thoth, aka Hermes, the thrice-lived, refers to these three lives of Ning-Ishzida, aka Thoth, aka Hermes. And Hermes Trismegistus, you would be familiar with this name as well, because there's also an emerald tablet associated with Hermes, and also the Kybalion, the well-known book, the Kybalion, is to do with Hermes. And of course, we have the entire culture of Hermeticism, which comes out of Hermes. So these are all related. These are things that I'll get into as I get deeper into the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. And then, of course, Kybalion should really be its own series as well, and it will be. But that is firsthand, direct evidence that corresponds to and reconfirms what we have read in this document. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to be soon getting into advanced techniques and coming up on one of the most important parts of the document called patterning, which has direct influence on one of the most important aspects of my book, which is regarding the Golem, Golem, Golem. And if you're listening to one of my videos for the first time, the book that I wrote titled Connect to Source, which you can find a link for it in the description, is a book that compares the first book of Kabbalah, the Sefer Yetzirah, meaning the book of creation in English. It is the only book to ever be attributed to be written by Abraham, the patriarch. And what I do is I compare the passages of the Yetzirah, which is written in ancient, enigmatic, poetic Hebrew, to the parts of the gateway process that correlate, meaning the parts that describe the genesis of the universe, the characteristic of the infinite conscious creator God, which in the Kabbalah is referred to as Ain Sof, which literally translates to infinite or no end. But besides the genesis of the universe and the characteristics of Ain Sof, it also talks about the creation of a golem, or it describes the creation of a golem. Now, if you're not familiar with the term golem, this is a term that you can find it in the Torah, you can find it in the Old Testament. You can find it in other books of Jewish commentary, such as the Talmud and the Gemara. And it is thought of as a mythical folklore figure, where it is essentially described as a soulless humanoid automaton brought forth from the ether, yet it is able to perform instruction, take instruction, execute tasks. It has been created for things such as security, such as spouse, literally a partner for sex. And it is thought of as mythical and folklore, again, for the reasons I just described, that it is brought forth from the ether and soulless. However, we have a description for how to create one in the Yetzirah, and I submit to you the science for which is explained in this upcoming section titled Patterning. Now, I'll be getting into that more deeply as we hit this patterning section here, but I'll be getting into it even more deeply in the next series that I do after the gateway process, where I begin to get into my book, and we'll really dive deep and understand how it is that it is real, how it is performed as described in the Yetzirah, and why the Golem is 100% unequivocally real and not folklore or mythology, as anyone who's even heard of a golem, which many people have not because they don't know their Old Testament, and it is not mentioned in mainstream society at all. But we will come to understand how it is real, why it is real, the science for which that allows it to be real, and the instruction for which it is described in the Yetzirah. And again, understand, if you missed some of the prior pods analyzing the gateway process, that although smart people that are non-spiritual describe this reality as a digital computer simulation, it is not that, but it is equivalent, because what it is our reality is God's imagination crystallized and come to life, meaning God is a source of energy, a source of energy who is in a state of infinity. Energy in infinity is aka energy in a state of all potentiality, because when you vibrate at the speed of infinity, you are all potentiality. And everything that comprises our universe in reality is energy that is slowed down. It is confined energy, so that is not vibrating at the speed of infinity. As such, it has frequency, aka sound, and that allows it to have form, individuality, and as a byproduct, location. So confined energy, you could think of as essentially equivalent to a computer simulation, because anything that could be thought of and conceived can be real. It is just a matter of manipulation of energy. And keep in mind, our entire reality is comprised of atoms, which are energy. So if you'd like to understand this topic in more depth, I suggest that you start at the beginning of the Gateway series and catch up with us, because that'll really set the foundation for you to understand the advanced techniques we're about to get into in the next video, and understand as to how and why they're real. So this section, advanced techniques, this is going to start to really break down for us the practical uses of the gateway process, including remote viewing, which is why this document was created to begin with, which was a government program on the books for 30 plus years before it was taken into black ops, because quote unquote it doesn't work anymore. But even an inept government can realize whether something or not works a lot sooner than 30 years. So if you want to believe that after 30 years the government said this no longer works, and they didn't just take it black ops, please email me. My contact info is in the YouTube description. I have a bridge to sell you. Now, among the things we learn in the next section is the fact that remote viewing allows for a viewing of the past, present, or future, meaning we have strong, I would say more than circumstantial evidence. I essentially would call this as Bitcoin tough bulletproof evidence that the past, present, and future occur simultaneously. And the reason for why we experience our reality moment to moment linearly as we do in this dimension is again something I talk about deeply in my book regarding how the fifth dimension correlates to the fourth dimension. And I'm submitting to you that there is a description in the Sefer Yetzirah regarding what the fifth dimension is, and that I have translated that, and I am the first person to do so properly, connecting it to modern science and scientific theory as to what that fifth dimension is and how it correlates with the fourth dimension. And it is referred to in the Yetzirah as Sipur, which is the Hebrew word which translates to literally to inform or to tell. And we'll be getting into that more deeply once I start covering my book as well. But if you don't want to wait, or if you would just like to support me because you like what I'm doing and what you're hearing, please feel free to go ahead and buy my book. It's on Amazon. Link is in the description. But we'll be getting into all of that as well. So just a preview of things to come. We have remote viewing coming. We have the science behind the Golem that's coming. We have the ability to gain access to all the knowledge in the universe, answers to any question you have ever wanted to know. When you're in these higher out-of-body states, you are able to essentially resonate with the consciousness of the earth, which itself is connected to the consciousness of the solar system. And any question you have, you are able to access the knowledge, the answer to that question, while you are resonating with the higher consciousnesses in the out-of-body state. And that in particular, we did discuss in earlier pods as well, but we'll be touching back on it in advanced techniques too. We are now nearly 2/3 of the way through the document. We are getting to some of the most important parts. So if you liked what you heard here today, just like everyone else asked for, please like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm a new channel looking to get off the ground and share the reality of nature, the nature of the universe, the characteristics of the all-creator God, Ain Sof, with the world. The core of this channel is going to be to analyze books of Judeo-Christian mysticism through these modern lenses of modern ufology, scientific theory, modern technology, but not just Judeo-Christian mysticism of Kabbalah and Merkava. We'll also be looking at books of other religions, the mystical books of other religions, as well as other ancient texts in general. I'll also be keeping you guys updated on UAP disclosure and any other esoteric information that I'd like to do videos on. I will be doing them as well. Some things I have in mind, for example, are the origins of the Star of David, the Magen David, the place of Saturn, how in the religions of Judaism and Islam, understanding their profound connection to these two religions, and all of these things along these lines. So thank you for hanging with me on this pod. Till the next time we hit advanced techniques. Appreciate you all. Aleph Lev out.